Patriot is a story of Colonel Tavington, a colonel who is serving king and country to the best of his ability. Despite his shortcomings, he's a worthy adversary worthy of respect. Now, I by no means am taking sides with the British and consider myself a patriot. However, if we analyze this movie, we see who the real bad guy is and the one who is breaking the laws of war. Meet Benjamin Martin, a bloodthirsty, sadistic serial killer that attacks people at random with a hatchet and a long, sharpened knife that he menacingly brandishes at those who dare disagree with him politically on the schism which was happening. However, Benjamin's appetite for violence and bloodshed didn't begin during the Revolution, as he later gloats to his equally sadistic son about his past glory days of when he dismembered the native inhabitants of America and sent their severed limbs to their family members in baskets.
We placed the heads on a pallet and sent them back with the two that lived to Fort Ambercon. The eyes, tongues, fingers.
You get the idea. When Benjamin isn't busy massacring peaceful Indians, he usually enjoys his days of leisure on his humongous inherited plantation. Meanwhile, his kidnapped black African slaves perform hours of back-breaking labor, such as harvesting his crops on his massive farm. And if they're not doing that, they're cooking and cleaning for his large, wealthy, but ungrateful family. The wife of this family is mysteriously dead with no indication as to how she died. However, we all know what happens when kind-hearted but gullible people have the bad sense to marry psychopaths who can hide their violence with charm. Colonel Tavington and his men arrive after a vicious battle takes place near Benjamin's plantation. Like any good infantry officer, Colonel Tavington's primary concern is for the well-being of his enlisted personnel.
Lieutenant, have a detachment take our wounded to our surgeons at Windsboro.
Yes, sir.
Then, Colonel Tavington notices the harsh and inhumane conditions in which Benjamin's slaves are forced to work, and his heart bleeds. He not only grants their freedom, but also the opportunity to serve in the King's army. By doing so, they are granted citizenship in the United Kingdom. However, listen closely to their response.
We're not slaves. We work this land. Free.
What you've just witnessed is a classic case of Stockholm Syndrome. It doesn't take a history buff to know that slavery didn't end until 1863 when the Emancipation Proclamation was put into effect. In other words, slavery wouldn't end for another 87 years. Benjamin's slaves are clearly lying in order to protect themselves from their cruel, sadistic master in case Colonel Tavington leaves without them. Luckily, Colonel Tavington sees through this facade and knows exactly what's going on, and grants the slaves their freedom. But before Colonel Tavington leaves, he wants to make damn sure that Benjamin's haven for systematic cruelty can never house slaves, ever again.
Fire the house and bombs.
Benjamin's plantation is burned to the ground while his former slaves are led to a new and free life. However, this doesn't sit well with his racist white son, who can't bear to witness black people being granted their God-given freedom, and in a fit of rage charges at Colonel's men, attempting to murder them with his bare hands, and forcing Colonel Tavington to take necessary action to save the lives of his non-commissioned officers. Stay tuned for part 2 of this series and learn about how Benjamin resorts to the use of child soldiers in his quest for revenge.